everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you've never seen my face before, hello, my name is Becca. Thank you for clicking on today's video. As you saw by the title of today's video, I'm going to be talking about my day-to-day COVID symptoms. Today is exactly 14 days since I had my first symptoms, and luckily when I first tested positive, I started keeping like a little note in my phone, so I do have some details for my day-to-day symptoms, which I hope can help some of you. I do want to put a little disclaimer out there before I get started. This is not really like a typical video I'd put on my channel. I usually do like lifestyle content, college content, and like beauty stuff like that, but I just found that when I tested positive, I was looking all over YouTube for these kinds of videos, and they really brought me like a peace of mind just so I could know kind of what to expect later. I thought that I would just do a video like this because if anything, I can bring peace of mind to somebody. You're probably watching this video for a couple of different reasons. Number one, you tested positive for COVID and you want to know what to expect. Number two, you have some symptoms of COVID, but you don't know for sure if it is. Or number three, if you're like me, you lost your sense of taste and smell and you just want to know when you can expect to taste and smell again. That symptom alone was driving me crazy. In today's video, I will tell you everything, all my symptoms, and things that I've done that I feel like have improved my sense of taste and smell. And also, I feel like I had some weird symptoms that nobody ever talked about. I do want to bring those to light, and maybe some of you are having those same symptoms. I just felt like when I tested positive, I was just looking all over for videos like this. So yeah, welcome to today's video. I hope that is helpful for even one of you. I also do want to say the last week, my symptoms have been pretty constant, which I'll get into, but I'm mainly going to be focusing on my first couple of days after testing positive, because those days there was more fluctuation with my symptoms from a day-to-day basis, whereas now it's pretty much constant. That was a long disclaimer, but welcome to this video, and without further ado, let's get started. I'm gonna throw back all the way to 2 weeks ago when I first had my very first symptoms. It was August 20th. It was a Friday. This is day one, okay? So I was perfectly fine all day. Mid-afternoon, I got a mild cough. I actually just thought that it was the air, which it might have been because Utah air is so bad lately. So I genuinely just thought it was the air. And also, I get like an allergic cough every summer, so I really didn't think twice about possibly having COVID. That evening, so this is still day one, I got a mild scratchy throat. And what was weird is that it was mild because usually when I get a cold, it hurts a little more. Once I get a sore throat, I'm like, okay, I know I'm in for like the long haul, because that's how all my like colds start. So I really didn't think twice about having COVID with a sore throat. Another side note is that I think my husband is the one that ended up giving me COVID. When I got my sore throat, I asked if he started his sickness with a sore throat because he had been sick previously, and we later found out that he tested positive as well. That's a different story. But I asked him if he started with a sore throat. He said yes. So I was like, okay, I have whatever you have, which again, thought was a cold or the flu. So I went to bed, and the next day I had to get a COVID test because I was going to see a specialist a couple days later, and they just wanted to, I don't know, protocol, make sure I didn't have COVID. So I went to the hospital that morning. This is day two. I got my salivary COVID test. The only symptom I had when I got that test was a mild sore throat, so it was worse than the night before. But that's the only symptom I had going in for my COVID test. Really didn't think anything of it. They said no news is good news. So I was like, okay, I'll leave. They'll let me know or not. Went on with my day. I could still taste just fine. I could smell just fine. As the day went on, I started to feel yucky. Like I just felt body aches. I started to get the chills later in the day, where my body just felt super hot, but my inside felt really cold. I was never comfortable. I couldn't sleep even though I wanted to. This is one of the weird symptoms that I was talking about. I felt like I had an ear infection, and the only reason I say that is because I have them pretty frequently, but I had one recently enough that I could recognize like the sharp pain in my ears, and I thought that I had an ear infection. Just felt like a stabbing pain in my ear, right or left. It would like alternate. and it would just sting for a couple seconds and then it would stop. And I just recognized this as an ear infection symptom because, like I said, I had one not too long ago. So that was really weird. At this point, I still didn't know that I had tested positive. So then that's the end of day 2. Day 3, I woke up to like 3 text messages from the hospital basically saying like, you tested positive, start your quarantine. This was Sunday morning and I was actually shocked. I did not think at all I just didn't think I had COVID. But sure enough, I did. So I let everybody know that I had been around, that I tested positive, and luckily everybody that I had been around had the vaccine. Luckily nobody got sick. They've all been tested now, just to be sure. So that's a relief. But anyways, on day 3, my symptoms were better than they were on day 2. However, I think at this point I just started to feel frustrated. So I wrote that my symptoms were better than Saturday, but I still felt sick. As the day went on, I felt chills, really hot on the outside of my skin, cold inside. I remember crying because I was so frustrated and I was just in pain and my body was just aching. Day 3, I felt my eyes were strained. So what I mean by that is like if I looked up, it just gave me a headache, or if I looked to the side, it gave me a headache. Basically, if my head wasn't straight on, I would get a headache, which I felt before, but this was just like a weird symptom. I talked to Tanner about it, my husband, and he said he felt the exact same, like the strained eyes, and I had never heard anybody talk about that as a symptom, but I just felt really strained eyes. You might think like, oh, it's because maybe you were looking at a screen for too long, but genuinely, I didn't change anything when the symptom came about. Like to this day, I look at screens more than ever. I work online, I have school online, like I look at screens all day long and I don't feel strained eyes anymore. That was just a really weird symptom that I've never heard anybody talk about. My eyes felt strained and my ear infection symptoms felt worse. Those are all my symptoms from day 3. Day 4, I woke up with the worst sore throat I've ever had. I'm not being dramatic, or I'm not trying to, but seriously, it was bad. Like I woke up with that, my ear infection. Okay, this was weird. So day 4, the ear infection symptoms went away. So that's why I'm like, okay, what was that? Like it's super weird. And to this day, I haven't had those symptoms. I had some chills. Day 4 is also when I lost my sense of taste and smell. When I tell you it's the weirdest thing ever, it seriously is. If you have that symptom, you know what I mean. I just tasted some soup and it tasted like nothing. But what's weird is this was like the first time I ate that day, so I don't know if maybe gradually I lost it, but I just remember the first thing I ate, I could not taste. And then I was eating my soup and I said, Tanner, can you taste your soup? And he said no. So I was like, all right. Oh, also, at this point, we tested Tanner and he also tested positive for COVID. At this point, Tanner and I both have COVID and we're quarantined. Couldn't taste my soup. It was driving me crazy because I really did not feel like eating anything. Couldn't taste, couldn't smell. That was the end of day 4. At the end of day 4, I went to bed without taste or smell, and I was kind of freaking out because I was like going on Google and I had seen that for most people, it comes back within like around 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. But for some people, like I know people that lost their sense of taste and smell for months, even 6 months. And I just did not want to imagine that. The next day was day 5. So I still had a sore throat and I couldn't taste or smell and I didn't have any symptoms of ear infection. And I know that the day before I said that I didn't, but I wrote here that I did not have an ear infection anymore. If it was that, I have no idea. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I never ended up going to the doctor for it. Okay. This is the point where my symptoms start to kind of become constant. Day 6 and on, it just kind of began to be pretty constant. Day 6, I was starting to taste the difference between flavors, but I still could not smell for the life of me. I went into the shower, tried to smell my shampoo, couldn't. I smelled like a really, really strong candle. I knew it smelled strong, but I put it right up to my nose and could not smell a thing. But I was able to differentiate sweet and salty and spicy and bitter. I could taste bitter. So yeah, if I ate like a brownie, I could tell that it was something sweet. You know, like I could taste basic flavors, but nothing more than that. Like I couldn't tell you what I was eating. And like I said, I couldn't smell. Day 7, my taste was getting better. I still couldn't smell, but my taste was like improving, and I could tell that each day it was getting a little better. So that gave me a little hope, because what people also didn't really talk about in their COVID videos was it like messes with your brain. Like it makes you actually feel like so like down and sad, and also just kind of nervous because you don't know when your symptoms are gonna come back. And it didn't help that I would be watching videos and Googling stuff. Whatever I looked up was like, your symptoms could basically come back between 2 weeks and months or never. And when I saw that it could possibly never come back, that really like got to me. So that drove me crazy. I also ended up getting a cough. Okay, but something to know is that I'm a cougher. Like if I get a cold or the flu, and then I end up getting a cough, which I always do, I will keep that cough for months. Like right now, I have a cough, and I've edited out of this video, but I do have a cough, and it's super annoying, but I'm a cougher. So like Tanner, he doesn't have a cough. He did, but it went away within like a couple days. I still have my cough. This is 14 days later. Exactly 1 week after my symptoms began, I wrote that this is probably the best I felt symptom-wise. I have an annoying cough. I can't taste or smell, but I can taste sweet, spicy, and salty, not flavors. Okay, on this day, probably if you're missing your taste and smell, you tried this, but I tried the burnt orange thing, and I don't think it worked. I could confidently say that it did not work. I could taste sweet, which is what I tasted when I ate the orange. I thought I could taste orange, but that burnt orange trick did not work for me. I know it worked for some people, but it didn't work for me. I was really disappointed. I also tried the acupuncture thing where they like flick the back of your head, if you don't know what I'm talking about. I literally looked up every way ever to get my senses back, and that didn't work either. Day 8, I have a cough and I can't smell or taste. At this point, this is past 1 week, so I'm just going to talk about how I've been feeling, because after day 7, my symptoms have been pretty much the same. Like I said, the first few days after testing positive, those were the most fluctuating. The symptoms were very across the board and different, I would say. But now, like the past week, I've just felt the same every day, give or take. I'll explain. Past day 7, past 1 week, I no longer have chills. The chills only lasted like the first 2 days. And out of having COVID, like this whole thing, chills were the very worst. Chills and body aches. Like that was worse than probably losing my sense of taste and smell, even though that really, really got to me. But the chills were just bad because I didn't want to like move or get out of bed or anything. I just felt so lazy. I don't have a fever. I don't have a sore throat. That only lasted like 3 days, which was very lucky, because I know someone that had it for like 2 weeks, and I'm like, I could never. I don't have a fever. I'm trying to think what else. Basically, my only symptoms at this point, and for the last couple of days, I get headaches, and I don't know if that's just because I don't drink enough, because generally I don't drink enough water. I felt super nauseous like 2 days ago. The whole day I felt so sick, and I don't know if that was from COVID or just because I wasn't good at eating or drinking. It's been hard for me to eat and drink, although those things are coming back a little bit every day. At this point right now, making this video, I'm probably at 30% taste and smell. Some things do taste rotten to me. I've heard that of people recovering from COVID, but other things taste perfectly fine. So it's really weird. But every day it has gotten a little bit better. Like yesterday was probably like 20%. So it's been nice that every day I can kind of like try new things and see if it's improving. I have a cough still, like I said. I did end up seeing a doctor. We met via video. He prescribed me an inhaler, and steroids, and the steroids do help with my cough, and I think they actually help with my headache too. I do get headaches throughout the day sometimes. Again, I don't know if that's because I don't drink water, or maybe it's because I'm recovering from COVID. I've read online that headaches, you can still get headaches, COVID headaches, but I mean, I'm not a doctor, so don't quote me on that or come at me. I feel like fine, like I feel like I have energy. All that to be said, 14 days later, I can vaguely smell and taste. I get headaches sometimes, I have a cough, and that's kind of it. So I'm very grateful for that because it could be worse. I'm gonna talk about things that I did that I feel like improved my sense of taste and smell and helped me to get through COVID. I took vitamin C every day, kind that you can buy and mix with water. I took that every day. And the one that I had actually had like zinc. It was, I'll go get it. I took this every day, and it's Immune Plus, vitamin D, and zinc. I took this every day, and 14 days later, I am improving my sense of taste and smell. I think I mentioned that I have steroids, but I only take one a day, and it says to take 3, but I only take 1, and it's helped my cough and my headaches. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with everything. I'm doing much better than I was. I think the first 4 days were the worst. After that, it started to get better. Again, I do feel lucky to not have gotten the bad case of COVID, like I didn't end up in the hospital, so I'm very grateful for that. Anyways, I hope that this video helped even one of you, bring you peace of mind. I know if you're struggling with like your senses, not being able to taste or smell, I have been there. I genuinely thought I would be one of those people that didn't get it back for like 8 months, and I was freaking out every day until I could taste a little bit or smell a little bit. I got so excited when I could finally smell a candle that I have. I smelled it every day, and I've actually heard that like there's, I'm blanking on the word, but like basically a therapy where you smell something every day that has a strong scent and it can bring back your senses. I don't know if that had any part of it, but I smelled a really strong candle every morning and a couple times throughout the day, just because I was like, please, like literally anything. I don't know if that helped, but I did that, and I can smell that candle now. Kind of all I have to say on that. That's kind of all that I have for this video. If you enjoyed, or if it was helpful or anything of the sorts, give this video a thumbs up. It seriously helps me so much. Comment down below if you have questions. I would love to chat with you and answer questions, and subscribe if you want to see more videos by me. Thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.